Okay, so I'm live. I'm just going to invite the lovely Sharon. Fingers crossed. Get comfy. Hi Clayton, how you doing? I'm glad you're here. Hi Amy. Ah, she's here. She's in her car.
Hello, hello. Morning. Good
Hi.
afternoon, everyone. Hi.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I am doing well. How are you, Lisa?
I'm fine. It's super warm here. What's the weather like in Texas?
Same, same. Definitely warm, but it's a beautiful type of warm. So yeah, lovely, beautiful, sunny day. I saw you took a walk earlier. I was just like, oh my gosh, I love it.
I tell you, that is, I don't know if that's classed as play for me, but it certainly is a resilience building activity.
That's for sure. Yes, that is definitely something that I get a lot often of. It's like, oh, what is play? Is this considered play? And I think it's so interesting how having those kinds of conversations that it's so natural for children to play, and it's like they can just do anything, and for adults it's just so hard. So I was just like so excited to have this conversation about play and resilient living and all the things.
Me too, me too, me too. So why don't you introduce yourself? We'll do a quick intro of each other for each other's audience, and then I'm just going to grill you, basically.
Yes, do it. I'm from Texas. We love barbecue, so yeah, go for it.
Exactly.
Well, welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon Calderon. I'm located in Texas, as we've all well been aware. I am an emotional wellness and resilience coach. I've had my certification through Lumia, aka Journey Coaching. And my whole basis is just living a well life, and that includes play as my preferred methodology of, of modus operandi. Um, and I really, really love exploring life and helping other people explore different areas that of their own life that they may have not either had the time or just awareness to bring about themselves and to discover about who they are in new and exciting ways. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a
That
mom.
is
I just dropped off my kiddo, so I definitely have a lot of play in my life organically. Um, with number two on the way, so yeah, it'll be
I
even more
know.
exciting. Yes. So yeah, very excited, and I look forward to meeting everyone who's here, everyone who decides to hop on the replay. I'd love to know more about you, and just drop in the comments to say hi.
Yeah, anybody who's here, there's a few people have joined us already. I know Clayton said hi. Yeah, if you're watching, say hi. Even if you're watching back later on, as Sharon said, anything that comes up, stick it in the comments. And the lovely Amy is here. Hi, Amy. So it's like the middle of the day here. We are 3:30 in the afternoon in Paris, where I am. I suppose I should introduce myself as well. So I'm Lisa, and I am a self-trust and alignment coach. And for me, what makes up the sort of ingredients of my coaching is this idea that if we are anchored in a place of self-trust, it feels like everything is possible. I also am a really keen sort of advocate for resilience as well. I think that's a really big part of the self-trust puzzle as well. To be resilient, emotionally resilient is essentially what I'm thinking of. And alignment for me is like living in alignment with your values, embodying the things that you are essentially like, not just, how can I explain it? There are so many people out there that kind of talk the talk but don't walk the walk. if that
Hmm.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
they're all the things for everybody else. So a lot of my clients are very heart-led. They're heart-led entrepreneurs. I'm a doula of 12 years, so a lot of birthy folks are in my world as well. And heart-led people can sometimes be really good at like supporting people and encouraging people to like take care of themselves, be resilient and all this stuff. And they're not really that great at
Yeah.
embodying those things themselves. So I'm here to try and support people to bring it all together in their lives and in their businesses as well. So that's kind of me. I'm in Paris currently, but I guess, digital nomad. I can live anywhere in the world, and we have lived all over the world, me and my family. So I've got 3 kids. My eldest lives in Berlin at the moment. She's 28, but she was living in Milan before that, Switzerland before that. We've lived in the Middle East, in the UAE, and also in Switzerland. Currently in Paris, used to be in the UK. Who knows where next? We can kind of pick it all up and go wherever we want. My husband's a teacher, and so we just get to be where we want to be. I guess that's another bit of our play. But anyway, so we're talking about play today. We're not talking about my life story. Sharon, like, what is play and why is it so important?
Oh my goodness, this is like the bajillion-dollar
The
question.
bajillion-dollar question.
There is so much buzz right now regarding play, not just in the lives, our individual lives, but I'm seeing it in a whole bunch of different spaces, like workspaces and things like that. So I think for us to bring this idea of play and resilience just to our people is, I think, an amazing thing. Play is, gosh, there are so many different sciences right now, just with oodles of scientific data saying how important play is. And I feel like now is the time for coaches, especially since we help with people create change in their life, is to start applying these like scientific data driven outcomes to better live, or to better help people live their lives. So with play, it is essentially in our DNA. We are born to play. I mean, you see this with children, like they're born literally just in wonder of the world. And as adults, we lose that so fast from, all the different aspects of our lives that, just take play out of our life on purpose, because we need to really refocus on, responsibilities and things. Or we've been told that we need to focus on other things
Well, yeah.
besides play. Well, we'll come back to that. That's a whole other thing.
Exactly.
But play is basically, it's in our instinctual, natural way of learning. It's like play is the birthplace of learning, and when we take our inner desires, like our inner motivations, the things that we are curious about, and we let those things lead, that is play. It is not just our actions that we're doing. It's not, a lot of people think, well, can this surfboarding be play? But I don't like surfboarding, so it doesn't sound like fun to me. It is very individualistic. It is our play is as unique as our fingerprints are to each of us. So whatever is, like Lisa, considering travel is something that sounds exciting and wondrous and exploratory and sounds like fun. If it sounds like fun for you, that is definitely a good sign that is something part of your play, right? So that is a definite key factor that I help with clients, like, just really focus on, is what is it that they even like to do, because we get stuck in our work and our responsibilities during our regular lives, and our own internal desires. We don't tap into those because we don't think that's important.
Yes.
We've been told it's not important. We need to work and take care of kids, making sure that they're staying alive, but that's it, right? Like, the rest is just whenever we have time. But we never have time for anything, right?
I know. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because it sort of feels like it, you know, I loved what you said about like kids, it's in the DNA, right? The kids just, you know, children are until a certain age. And I wonder when that starts to really change, you know, until a certain age, they're really in awe. As I see it, you know, like you say, they're in that wondrous stage of what's going on in the world. And it's funny because like literally on the training that I was doing this weekend on my Be Your Own Coach training, we were talking about different places to bring in like resilience and regulation. And one of them is to be in a state of awe. And that really like reminds me a lot of what you're saying. I'm like, you know, kids are really just like taking it all in, everything just, you know, they're not like overcomplicating things. And there's something so like, it's not just that that's beautiful to sort of like see and behold from an adult perspective, but you can see that there's something really like emotionally nourishing about that. I mean, it's so funny that you had mentioned you saw that I was in the forest this morning, and I asked you, and I'm going to ask again, like what you thought about that in terms of like when we think about play, and how we start to define it for ourselves and literally like figure out how we bring it in. Like when I'm in the forest in the morning, or even when I just open my window into the gardens here, we're really lucky. We have these beautiful gardens in the middle of the kind of quartier. The apartments are all facing each other. And it really brings me to a place of awe, actually, and like wonder and so on. And there's just something so like grounding and nourishing about it. But like play just feels like, to me, as you're describing it, maybe like there's another step on top of that. Like it's not just like getting into that state, but it's like incorporating it in things that maybe you're doing. Is play always is play a verb? Is it a doing thing?
Absolutely. It is definitely an action and also an attitude. You can be a playful person. You can be a playful person. I know that's something that has been a key theme of mine forever is play, not just as a kid, but as an adult too. It's like, if it's not fun, then, you know, like I don't want to say I check out, but it's like, I'd rather be more focused and interested. And I think also like improvisational, like with life, everything just gets thrown at us and we have to like go with the roll, you know, roll the punches and things like that. It's like, and having this attitude, I think, was it Viktor Frankl was saying that there's a quote about how whenever we have things taken away from us, and this is in the book, A Man's Search for Meaning, and it's like our freedoms everything can be taken away from us, but our last freedom as a human being is our choice of attitude and our own path to go forward. I was just like, oh, that when that quote hit me, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I love that.
And speaking of resilience, he had, you know, survived the Holocaust of all things. So to me, it's amazing to see the depths of pain that people can go through. You know, you and I, when we were talking earlier about our stories and things and how much we've been through.
Yeah.
And to see, you know, I think that it's our capacity for pain and just the depths of what the human psyche can really take on is the same equivalent on the other end of the spectrum for joy.
Yeah, but it's like, yet we're not so used to leaning into that side.
It's painful. No one likes the hard stuff. No one likes looking at the shadow parts of us and saying like, ooh, you know, I could use a little work on that. Like my, you know, self-talk, you know, things like that. So it's like, we want joy. We want, you know, this idea of toxic positivity and starting to lean into play. I was having a hard time myself with that. It's like, well, I want this idea of play to just be everywhere. This is amazing. Everyone needs to start playing more. But at the same time, I was getting, you know, this pushback. I was like, okay, well, you know, telling me to play all the time life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. I'm like, I know, I've lived it. And I'm
I
telling you.
know, right?
But it's like if you want to have a choice to, and I know there's certain things like depression, anxiety that's really, really like, like these are very difficult concepts to, you can't just, I want to say play your way out of it, but it's the little, it's the little actions we take every day that add up to the bigger changes that we don't really necessarily think of. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about adding, incorporating more play into our adult lives is that we have the choice of when to do it, right? We have, like, unlike children, like their day is set for them, and so they just play however they see fit. But at the same time, we can do that as well. It's just our attitude towards what play is the thing that I feel like as adults we need to decondition ourselves, because of our socialization with work being our priority, our security being priority, right? We have to feed, we have to, make money to live life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've missed out on so much. And this is not just our culture today. This is not, just US. I think this is just a very, very human, broad experience. But it's like we've had,
Exactly.
and that's what increases that resilience capacity that you were saying, like, making that effort from within to make those changes in not just our behavior, but our thoughts and our beliefs.
Yeah. Oh my God, definitely. And it feels like I'm listening to you and it feels like so relevant to the things that we were doing in the training this weekend. Actually, Fiona is here. Some of this will probably make, like, she'll be going ping, 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 because it all just
Yes.
feels like it connects. Well, you talk about resilience, don't you? It connects so much into resilience. And for me, when I start like teaching people about how to become more resilient, like, and with the mission of like that being grounded in self-trust, it comes like from a place of small compounding actions, like you were saying, like you were just saying there, like this is not like this idea, and I do want to get into try and get some specific ideas for people to take away as well, but I feel like resilience, as I see it, and it feels very much like what you're saying, is something that just doesn't come from a radical overhaul. I mean, if we get the chance to have a radical overhaul, that's great. But like, we also have this really amazing opportunity to compound through very small but significant actions. It's incredible, isn't it? And we don't see the men that, because these things are so small, and you're like in it, it's hard to see like, oh, how far I've come until you kind of get further along and you look back. But like this compounding effect of resilience, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it doesn't require you to all of a sudden like get bags of time out of nowhere kind of thing. You still can do this within the sort of realms of like a regular person's life that needs to get the kids up at a certain time. And let's say they've not even got kids, right? But they have to go through these like accepted norms of like, we get up, maybe we go to work, or maybe we start work if we're, an entrepreneur, or whatever it might look like. And we eat, maybe we've got some like, kind of self-care practice or whatever, but like, or we're just on a hamster wheel, maybe, like a lot of people feel that they are. It feels like there are places where you can bring almost a glimmer of this stuff in, and it has this compounding, like, it sounds super cheesy, but like cup filling effect. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
isn't there that phrase like that everyone uses all the time, and doulas are always saying that you can't pour from an empty cup? And it's true. It's very overused, but it's super true. But like, we get to fill the cup like a little spoonful at a time, and it's still going up.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's definitely, it's like the Mary Poppins effect. I love it's like when I grow up, I want to be Mary Poppins, and of course here I am being a play coach.
I
But
love
yeah,
it.
like just like I love how you were saying the compound effect of these little actions, these little choices that we don't realize. It's like, you know, if we have this goal to lose a significant amount of weight, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't, like, you know, we can do things to try and speed up the process, but usually it's not in a healthy way that we get that goal met, right? So with play, adding more play, you know, however you want to sprinkle it in, and that's the thing. It's like with play, we can overcomplicate it so much. It's like, well, when do I do it? Is this what play looks like? It's like, calm down. It's okay. I know that this seems all foreign and something that we're not allowed to do, because as adults we have responsibilities and things that take precedent. However, like you were saying, that emotional nourishment piece, I feel, has been missing throughout a lot of people's lives, just simply
Yeah.
for the fact that we've been trained out of our play instinct. And I think that the point that you were wondering about earlier is like, when does the wonder disappear from children's lives? And I saw it, you know, a few months ago. I was talking with my son. He loved to do art, and he would make me drawings and things. And one day I was like, hey, let's do this game. And it was about, you know, drawing pictures and you know, blindfolding, and we'll do certain things like that. And he goes, Mommy, I don't know if I can draw. And I was just thinking, oh my God, my own child, like and I just point to the wall, because I have this big, beautiful art wall of all of his stuff, because I can't throw anything away. So, so it's like, it's just all on the wall, and I just point to it, and I go, you did all that. He's like, well, you know, and so it's like just seeing that glimmer of reservation, whereas before, you know, it's just like, ooh, draw, you know, like there was no stopping him, because it was that internal motivation that he loves to draw and he loves art. So just to see that, even, you know, and he's like almost 10 now. So it's like there's this period within, I think, school age that, you know, we start indoctrinating children for work, and
Oh,
we focus more so on the cognitive learning
yeah.
at such more an earlier age. It's like we need to prepare children for adulthood. I'm like, I think it's actually at a crisis level that childhood is disappearing quickly, and it's something that I'm another advocate for. It's like with play, there are so many different aspects of humanity that it touches on, that relates to human rights in almost like every facet that I've found. So it's like, for me, play isn't just, you know, something we do for fun. Yes, that's a part of it, but at the same time, there's a much deeper level that, you know, it's what we do with our own time that we don't feel like we have the freedom to do, even as children now, right? Like, you know, so it's like this idea of play is not just, it's, yes, helping us improve our quality of life, but it's, I think, to me, when we all can reach that point of that self-trust of saying, you know what, I'm going to do this for me, filling our own cup without, you know, having to reach out for monetary things, for, you know, there's this void that we feel like we're missing something in life. Like there has to be something else in this life. It's play. We're missing out on so much play. And it's available to us at anytime we want. That's what makes it so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say about that observation that you had about your son. And my God, don't even get me going down a rabbit hole about, number one, like the way that education systems are still set up to produce workers and not thinkers.
Absolutely.
Like we still are pumping out, like, I mean, my husband's a teacher, and it's a real big thing, big bugbear for him as well. as an educator, like this, the setup is essentially to create workers rather than thinkers. And you know, we've got this industrial model of education, and we don't live in an industrial age anymore, but that's for another life. Probably on
Yes.
his page, not
Yes.
mine. But like,
Yes.
you know, it was what you said about your son there, and that whole, like, you know, he's only 10 and he's already like starting, or certainly showing like signs that he's moving maybe in a different direction to the wonder, and starting to like overthink. That's my word, you know, maybe like put meaning onto things in a way that, you know, we really like, we all start to do. And you know, for me, one of my like, you know, big like limiting beliefs, so interesting, was around creativity. I was sharing this at the weekend in the Be Your Own Coach group, and I was saying, you know, for such a long time I believed that I was not creative, and it all stemmed back, I could backtrack it all back to literally an art class in school.
Exactly, yes.
Where I was not able to do the particular task, not able to, even though like art, it's subjective, but anyway. But that stuck with me. And then, so I dread to think of how many opportunities I have missed out on, like with friends, then with, you know, as a young person, before I had children of my own, and then going forward, and then right up until, I would say, really in the last couple of years, even, because I had a story that I wasn't creative. And it was so funny when I shared it in the group. Someone was like, "What? Like,
yeah.
You're not creative?" They were like, do you not watch your own reels?"
Yeah.
And stuff. And I was like, but I had like, it was in there, kind of thing. So that really, like, that moment, that switch, it's, yeah. And so I guess what we're trying to do by bringing this idea back in is, it's, you know, we're not going to be able to flip the switch back in that easy kind of fashion. But I loved what you said about sprinkling. Like, you know, I talk about that also, you know, in terms of like resilience. It's about having like little flashes, little moments here and there, and then getting that like compounding effect kind of thing. So how do we get the sprinkles, and what might sprinkles look like to someone who's still here going, right, okay, you've said it's play, we know it's important, it's going to build resilience, we're going to like maybe find that because we feel resilient, we and more capable, then we look at things in a different way, we see more possibilities, we put ourselves out there for more opportunities. But like, how do we sprinkle it in, and where does somebody start who's like, I just don't know?
Those are very, very good questions. Yeah. So I think one of the easier things that we have available to us as all humans, and it was what you were doing today earlier, is going out in nature.
Yeah.
How nourishing just stepping on into the ground and seeing like birds and trees. And right now I'm at the park, and so I'm seeing, you know, everyone walking around, but just getting out of our, you know, spaces that we confine and feel stuck. If you feel stuck in a certain place, get somewhere else. Change your scenery. Nature is a very healing place. Obviously, we are nature ourselves. So just having that connection to outside spaces is, I mean, something like during the pandemic that we all were just, you know, so grateful to be able to do after, you know, a certain period of time that we weren't able to. So it's like getting out in nature, I think, is one of the easiest, costs nothing.
Exactly.
Sprinkling. You know, if you're like working from home, like Lisa, you were saying, you just open up the windows and it's just like, whoo, like this whole different kind of flavor of experience. I would say time is a lot of our problems, that we don't think we have enough time. but it's more of scheduling it. So, you know, like with a date night or something like that, you know, you consider something important to you, it's going to be on a calendar or, you know, something. So if it's something that your work play, if play is something you're starting to get to work into your life again, I would suggest you scheduling it. That way you set this goal for yourself saying, okay, I have this hour of time. I really want to do something and I don't know what. And so if you come to that point where you've blocked off your time, I think another great activity that you can do is, you know, how we have a bucket list saying these are the things I want to do before I die.
Yeah.
Well, you can have a bucket list. You can be like, these are the things that I want to do because I want to do them. So
I am literally already like the pen is ready. Where is my bucket
yes.
list?
Yes, like this requires
Sharon,
nobody's permission.
Gold. This is gold. So we like, okay, people do the bucket list by all means, but please, like for the love of all that is holy, everybody needs a bucket list in their life.
Yes, it's like everyone makes a bucket list saying the one before I die, this is what I want to do. And hopefully we get to those things, right? That's the hope. But with the bucket list, it's more of like, I'm not waiting. This is what I want to do right now. Like,
Love that.
I want to go after this and go get me a donut and a coffee and, you know, like just enjoy and savor. And that's my play for the day. Like, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be complicated.
It's so simple. It's so simple. But like, you can even almost like, I'm getting into the vibe of literally imagining it, that moment of like emotional nourishment from just saying, no, I am, you know, I'm in France, you know, there's like bakeries everywhere, you know.
Yes.
So it's like, you know what, my bucket list moment of play today is that I am gonna go and buy that beautiful pastry thing, and I'm just gonna, like, you know, go and sit wherever it is, or I'm gonna enjoy it watching the thing that I love. I mean, is that am I on the right lines?
Absolutely. I love where this is going. It's like you like romanticizing your life. I guess that's a very French thing, but just like being in the moment without worrying about anything else, right? So it's like anything that you can do for yourself that feels nourishing to yourself, your soul, your spirit, that is play. That can be play.
I love it. I love it. Clayton's just disappearing off. Hey, thanks for coming on, Clayton. So, you know what? I love that. And I feel that's a really great, like, tangible thing for people to take away, the idea of the bucket list. I think that's brilliant. And I also feel like I love the idea of play almost being a way to romance yourself. When you just said about, like, you know, that would be a French thing, like, yeah, like, how do I get to like almost romance myself? And you know, some people's bucket list might also be, you know, the people that I've spoken to, I can think of one person that I've been coaching, and I was like, tell me something really unusual about yourself that nobody would know. And she was like, yeah, I used to be like a ballroom dancer or something like that. You know, she was like, it's really unusual. You know, we're not unusual, but like, it wasn't like, I was like, really? She was like, yeah. And I was like, really, really good at it. And now she was doing in her work something that, you know, people would kind of think was a pretty, you know, regular Joe, let's say, kind of work. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, it might have even, I don't think it was ballroom. It was like competition disco dancing or something wild like that. And she was like,
that's awesome.
Honestly. And I was like, so, you know, what happened about, like, where is that person? You know, where is that element? Where are they? And she was like, oh, you know, it's not even, and why would I? And all of that stuff. And it just seemed like such an obvious, like, point for her to bring that back in, and I could see so much like emotional nourishment within allowing her to, without any judgment, just step into that place. And that fit does that, again, like, you know, am I on the right lines? Is that a moment that somebody
Absolutely.
should lean into their desire to play?
Absolutely. And I love how you brought the point. It's like she had the dance was something that she used to do. And so it's like, if you're having still kind of like, okay, well, I have my bucket list kind of, I'm not sure, or you're still kind of, you know, if this conversation leads to you wondering, which is my hope for everyone here listening in, is think about your own childhood and the things that brought you joy in your play as a kid, if you can like remember that far back, or if you've had, you know, some you know, glimmers of good childhood memories that are back in there of, you know, what was your favorite types of toys? Did you like playing by yourself more, or were you more social and that you wanted to be on the playground, bossing people around, telling people, you know, directing? So we, as children, you know, we have our own play instincts within us, and that if it's honed and our play allows to grow, we develop what these called as play personality.
Right.
And like I said, it's very unique to each one of us. So my play is, you know, like horseback riding and playing guitar and singing and, you know, creative arts and things like that. Whereas like someone else's play is something different, you know, not as creative, but they can be more of the game player and competitor and things like that. So it could literally take you in any direction. And if you start playing around with the types of things that you think you enjoy, play is more doing it for the sake of doing it, nothing out of the outcome for it. It's like, you know, like with our work. And that's another point I wanted to bring up, is that a lot of people think that work and play are two different things. And they can be, but not necessarily. Because you can enjoy, like with coaching, I love being able to like just speak with people. And I'm sure, Lisa, this is something, if it resonates with you, it's like just having that conversation, that flow of talking about life and like seeing people's perspective just shift right before your eyes, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is my job, I love it. Like that is what an essence is, like being in flow. I did some, one of my play is researching and learning, and just for the sake of finding information. So the other day I was researching flow, kind of for this talk, and something that I thought was pretty spectacular was the father of flow theory, and I wrote this down because I wanted to get the name right, is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Right.
He, another also a Holocaust survivor, he wanted to do research for finding out what makes life worth living. And the whole concept of flow started with him wanting to do research on this concept, and research adult playfulness. But he knew he couldn't get funding for, you know, people playing and doing things just for the fun of it, right? So he labeled it for work satisfaction. So he can get funding for his research for flow theory. I'm just like, we have it all backwards. Like we want flow to get to work and be more productive. And the father of flow himself is like, no, I just want to find out what's fun. Like, oh my God, this is life.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's like we can have fun in our work. And there's a quote, it's saying like, the opposite of play isn't work, it's depression. And so that whole emotional nourishment piece is such a huge factor for what I think what we're missing in our lives is that play, because it's like without play, it's really hard to find meaning in life, because we are all makers of our own meaning in life, and play gives us that opportunity, or many opportunities, to find new meaning within the universe and with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And, you know, it feels, again, just feels very, very much, you know, I can see how it's all connected to our resilience piece as well, because no, if we're saying, you know, if we kind of like lean into that idea that the opposite of play is depression, right? Just as a general kind of concept, for me, resilience comes in being able to move like easily back towards those things. It's not about, like you were saying about the whole toxic positivity thing. It's about that balance of being able to have like the capacity for all. And then, but the more we are able to move back into that state of play, flow, resilience, you know, happiness, call it what you will, like freedom, presence, you know, there's loads of different ways that you could describe it. The more like capacity we have to kind of go to like the dark places when we need to, but able to like lead ourselves back to light and flow kind of thing. I love that. No, I really did. So I've been like furiously scribbling things down.
Yes.
About
Great.
like, oh, these are the things I'm going to do. So I'm going to summarize from my perspective what I hear. You can tell me if you think that I am like, you know, I'm getting there as this like newbie student around the idea of play, but what it means for me, or my takeaways from this talk anyway, are think about a bucket list.
Yes.
You heard what the bucket list was. They're like, not just because I'm going to die, it's just because, right? Then, and the things that are on the bucket list are there for the sake of it. There's no rhyme or reason, you know, it's for the sake of it. It's to bring in this playful element into your life, to bring something that is, and then I added, because you just beautifully said it, a place to romance yourself, right? A place to romance yourself. And then if people are not sure where to start and what it might look like, think to, you know, what play might look like for them. I mean, just try. It's always trial and error, isn't it, with these things? But like a nice place to start the sort of reflective process is to think of what you will, if you can recall as a kid, how you played as a kid. What were the things you did? Were you, like you said, were you the kind of kid that was like running the show? Were you the kind of kid that liked to go in the sandpit and build their things and do their stuff alone? Were you the leader? Were you the one writing the play for everybody to be the characters? You know, think about the things that you did in your childhood. Maybe if you've got siblings, with your siblings, how did it look? And then start to think about how you could implement or use that, like almost like natural, what did we call it, a play characteristic? What was it?
There's play personality, and it comes from our
to kind of like start to think about what your play personality might be, and then to feed into that and think of those long lost things that you used to love doing when you were a kid and a preteen and a teenager and whatever else, and like ask yourself, why is that not still on my bucket list, basically? And you know, this kind of like idea that it's essentially part of like a life worth living as well, you know, a life worth living. Not everybody gets to, I know, like I am so lucky, and I'm sure that you feel the same way too, to get, you know, for the last 12 years as a doula, you know, supporting people going through this incredible transformation, literally, like before my very eyes. I was in awe so many times. You know, I am in awe every time that I am at a birth or around people that are becoming new parents and stuff. Like I get to go, that's part of flow for me, being in that place. And then also as I'm coaching people, and this conversation for me has just been like an absolute joy. So this is just play.
Same, yes.
You know, it's like, so how, like, not everybody has the sort of, I don't want to say look, because we create our own, world. But maybe people are in a position that they think, wow, I didn't realize, and this, I've just kind of got to this place somehow. And they don't necessarily, feel that their work gives them that play opportunity. Those are the sort of moments when you really need to start thinking, where can I bring it in as well? It's not about a radical overhaul that we have to all just blow up our lives. I'm not going to go work there anymore. I'm going to go and do, become whatever, run away and join the circus. We can do it in these kind of small but very meaningful ways. And it invites in opportunities to see different facets of yourself. And then that also comes into this idea of possibility and, oh, well, maybe that's another avenue to explore. And then the next news, you're blowing up your life. You're looking back down 12 years and you're like, how did I get from a corporate job to being a professional birth partner and a digital nomad and a coach and a mentor and all the things? And I'm like, actually, I'm blowing the shit out of it.
Exactly.
I'm playing literally around the clock.
And it's just having those steps, and it's once you start making these little changes for yourself, if it's, there's nothing to broadcast, right? But people will start to notice. They're like, why are you so happy all the time now? Why are you, what's your deal? And you'd be like, I've been playing, and just leave it at that. Or if anything, just invite them, be like, I've been playing. And they're like, what do you mean? You're like, well, let's go do this thing. Or I'm doing, this class, the Zumba class. I think it'd be really fun and look like complete idiots to do it together. How about that? And just see where things go. I love that.
I love it. Yeah, Fee was on the live a few moments ago. I don't know if she's still there, but she has literally, we've been working together, and she's literally implemented a whole aerobics. She has a regular marketing corporate kind of job. But she just was like, I'm going to do those. I'm an aerobics instructor. I learned how to do that. I loved it. And she's doing aerobics classes to 90s dance music.
Yes.
Today she shared the thing. I was like, oh my God, I so want to go to that.
Sign me up. Yeah.
And it's she's incorporating her play so beautifully there in that. She's here. She is still here. And
that sounds amazing.
Oh my God. Now, I'm going bing, 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 bing. There's resilience in there. There's play in there. There's self-trust, putting herself out there, all the things. And so I'm so proud of you, Fiona. That's so cool.
And it makes it so much easier when we are in our play to do things that are new or hard. It's once we build that self-trust of, you know what? It's okay if it doesn't turn out all right. I'm going to be okay regardless. We let go of what it's going to look like or make us look like, it's silly. It's, it's a waste of time. We always have this judge that is telling us what we should do with our time. And the shoulds need to stop. Just saying, shoulds or shit needs to be out the door.
Yeah.
And I love what you were saying, the idea back of trial and error with play. There is no error. It's trial and learning.
I love that too, definitely. And I think
so. You can't get it wrong.
No, that's the beauty of it. You can't. And you know what? I feel like I said this as well in the training over the weekend that I was doing in the group. If you want to change the world, first change yourself is one of those phrases that I love, right? And you were saying, people will start to go, what's going on with you? What's different? You're getting a bit more action. What's happening? And it's well, yeah, I am actually getting a bit more action from myself. I'm literally romancing myself a little bit from time to time. And that the impact that has on the people around you as well. I wonder whether, and maybe I'm just having a little pipe dream moment, but I think really in my heart, I believe it. It's when we model these things, people are given permission. And I just think that could not be more important if you are a parent, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or if you're around children in some capacity, because I'm not saying we're going to be able to like break this cycle, but we certainly get to have an impact on the ones that are close round to us and say, you know, you don't need to lose that. That stuff's important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, keep it going, you know, hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a ripple effect of play in our lives, and seeing like once I really believe play is, if we were all to incorporate it, a way to up the world peace. Being able to do that, it's like if we all just played, of course there'd be world peace. But
Yeah, definitely.
um,
I can think of a few world leaders that probably didn't do enough playing or had some, or could
absolutely.
use a little different kind of yeah, definition of play. So, oh my God,
Hmm.
this has been so cool. If anybody is watching like afterwards and have got any questions, and also, you know, or anything's coming up, just put a comment and Sharon and I will check back on the replay and whatnot. And you know, if you are one of my followers, go and follow Sharon, and if you're one of Sharon's followers, come and follow me,
Yes.
and see what we're all doing. You know, maybe there's something interesting in there, interesting for you all. Maybe something will be prompted. Maybe you'll figure out what your play is just by listening. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Oh, Sharon, this has been so cool. Thank you so much for coming
I
and
loved it.
joining me. And I'm hoping you have a gorgeous rest of your day there.
Thanks. I hope you
I
do too. And I'm glad everyone was able to join in when they could, and just super
Yeah,
grateful.
me too. Me too. Very grateful. And yeah, I hope you have some fun.
Absolutely.
I know you will. I know you will. All right, my lovely. Take care. Lots of love.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a great
We'll see
day.
y'all.
Ciao.